the world you are connecting from, because we have people connecting from different time zones. Welcome to all the participants to this webinar. As you join in, please make your presence felt, as some of you have already started introducing yourself in the chat box. I'll request everyone to put their name and location. For today's session, I think it'll be relevant to inform that we will get 1.5 CCU as have been approved by ICF, one for the coaching competencies and one for the 0.5 for the resource development. We will post a claim form towards the end of the session to claim your CCU. You have 2 days to fill up. That means by 2nd of February, you can fill up, and by 16th, you most likely will receive your CCU certificates. So welcome to this session brought to you by the Learning and Events vertical of ICF Mumbai Charter Chapter. Allow me to introduce the hosting team for you. My name is Sandeep Kalra, and I have the privilege of hosting this webinar for you today. With me in the hosting team, we have Nandini Agaskar and also Anju Saini. I lead the Learning and Events vertical for ICF Mumbai Charter Chapter. We have Anju, who is one of our most experienced directors in the board, and he has very kindly agreed to be the co-host. Thanks to her, she will be handling the Q&A segment. We also have Nandini, who works very closely with the ICF Mumbai Charter Chapter Committee. A few of the hygiene factors, even at the cost of repetition, I think it'll be relevant to inform. So before we begin, kindly keep yourself off camera and be on mute. This is to avoid disruption in the transmission that could be caused due to the bandwidth issue. We are expecting a very large attendance today. And during the session, if you have an urge to ask a question, please put in the chat box. Anju will go through it and communicate it with the speaker, or he may curate it for question answer session, which may happen during as well as at the end of the session. We will also request all the participants to come on camera for a group photograph before we start the question answer session at the end. For those who wish to claim CCU for the session, we will post a link in the chat box after the feedback poll. Please use that link to enter your full name as you would like it to appear in the CCU certificate. And also mention your correct email ID, because there have been such issues in the past. So we also invite you to stay on the session. Bhavani has been kind enough to agree to stay beyond the session time for 15 minutes for networking, and in case if someone wants to discuss further or any clarifications. So let's get to the topic straight now. Today's topic is embracing the journey from survive to thrive in coaching, pivoting from corporate to coachpreneur. Today's expert speaker is none other than Bhavani Jois, who has very graciously agreed to share her knowledge and wisdom on the subject. I have known Bhavani for about 8 years now, and she was a frequent speaker for the various internal audit conferences, national as well as international, which we attended together. And she had that ability to captivate audiences of any size, ranging from 50 to 500. And it was more because of the novelty of topic which she used to choose, and also the well-researched presentation, which resonated with everyone, rather than her just communication skills. With a distinguished career of corporate career of 25 years in governance, risk, and audit, including she heading the internal audit department of Infosys. Her passion, in fact, lied somewhere else, and in invoking the newer insights Bhavani started her coaching journey 12 years ago in UK. It was only in the last 3 years uh, that she pivoted from her corporate trajectory to become a part-time coach, facilitator, and trainer, and has since committed to doing it full-time. In pursuit of influencing leadership at the highest level, she is now on the path to becoming a certified corporate director, poised to infuse boardrooms with greater psychological safety, emotional intelligence, and mindful leadership. Bhavani is a PCC certified coach with the ICF and a practitioner of multiple human capability tools and framework such as conversational intelligence, NLP, and most importantly, positive intelligence. A mother of 5 children, 5 pets, and handling a large farm along with her husband, uh, and writing her own story of thriving in her journey as a coach. We are privileged to have you with us to deliver in this webinar, Bhavani, today. We are eagerly awaiting to be inspired by your wisdom and insight today. And as I begin, welcome Bhavani once again. And please share about how you're feeling and what prompted you to shift from a successful and promising corporate career to a risky terrain of coachpreneur. Bhavani, over to you.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you to ICF Mumbai, and thank you to all of you for joining and hopefully, making this event a success. First of all, I want to share that before I answer that question, I want to share that today's sharing is from a place of vulnerability, because I think we are all coaches on a journey, and sharing what we know hopefully will help another person. Although we are still, and that's the reason the topic is embracing the journey. It is a journey. It never really ends, and it's filled with joy and vulnerability. So that's the space I'm coming from today. How am I feeling? Excited, elated. At the same time, I guess curious. I would love to see what questions come up as well. And to answer the question about my pivot, I wanted to pivot 12 years ago, Sandeep. I didn't. I was so sure that I would become a coach then. And life happens when you're making plans. And so what happened? I just take a minute to share, I think, why the pivot took this shape. And I think everybody will resonate. We might have an intention or a passion, but the right moment has to come. So I discovered coaching by accident. Literally went for a workshop, loved it, signed up straight away, committed almost wholeheartedly in 2013. But that very week, month or so, using the wheel of life, as we all familiar with and love, we decided to relocate from the UK to India. And so almost making a decision to become a coach and relocating from 18 years of life in the UK to India all happened in the same year. 2013 was a very momentous year. So 9 months after making that decision, we landed in Bangalore to start a new chapter. And at that point, after a 10-month sabbatical, I was sure that I'd become a coach. When I came here in 2013, end of 2013, early 2014, nobody knew what coaching was, or it was very nascent. And so, I really had to go back to corporate to really get to know corporate India. And I think part of why I'm saying all this is because our corporate experience, especially when you're pivoting, becomes a fuel or a source of um, resource, actually, a source of resource, energy, and motivation in helping shape the niche that you take up. So for me, that I think it happened that 9 years of corporate career in India really helped me find my footing with this country. And then in 2021, the itch of not having finished my coaching, came up. COVID happened. We were all introspecting. And so I said, no, this time I'm doing it. I went back to coaching school, got my ACC, went part-time for 2 years, and Infosys was very kind. They knew the vulnerabilities of stepping out of a comfort zone is not easy. So if I would say to step out, you would need to have a very cooperative organization. If they can let you moonlight officially, then that's great. And have some kind of cushion or landing, some kind of buffer to land on, because it's an experiment. Going out from a safe corporate space to, as you see, the risky terrain of entrepreneurship requires you to have some comfort. So I would say each of us will have our own buffer. At that time, I told myself if I had 30 lakhs, I would do it. Then, and as I saved that money, I still didn't do it. I'm like, what are you waiting for now? What's the excuse? So you have to have that some kind of benchmark or target that says if you're going to pivot, this is the point at which I will pivot. So it just so happens that uh, I was supported to make that pivot. I learned to live on less for 2 years as I went part time. My salary halved in one day, just like that, and then build a new comfort factor on how to live on less and build a new career. So that's really my pivot. And I think everything that's successful comes from a risky journey to begin with, and that's why this journey is the way it is. I hope I think that's the message I want to share on this point. I can't hear you, Sandeep. You're on mute.
Yeah, so it was a supportive corporate which kind of allowed you to move gradually, and
100%.
which also the experience which you had gained in your corporate also acted as a source and a resource
Yeah,
for making it richer, which very relevant. Um, like you were talking in terms of the age to join, and oh, they say in case if you want to thrive and become rich, please go and find your niche. So, how important is finding a niche, and what challenges did you face in identifying your niche as a coach? And
okay.
how did you navigate? That's very important. How did you actually navigate through them to create a unique value proposition? So, we would like to see in case if that can resonate with others.
Sure. And I would like to share some slides for this because I want to just kind of, talk it through with some slides to explain. Is this visible?
Yeah, it is
What-
now.
I'm putting it, yeah, it's on full screen mode, right? Is it on full screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. So answering this question, I put a slide together because this is one of the hardest things. Those peer coaches who worked with me for 2 years, I took a long time to figure it out. It wasn't that straightforward, but I kind of had some kind of formula, I guess. I just want to make one more caveat. I will be talking about some of my experiences and products and tools I use, as well as certain workshops I attended that helped me shape this. In no way am I advocating for them. I'm just sharing my experience. So I want to put that out there. But what I want to say is somewhere in the beginning of my journey, around April 22, I went into a bit of a lull. I was like, I already went part time and I wasn't really making much progress. And I attended um, Coaching Unlimited, which is from the same coaching school I kind of studied from, which is Regal Unlimited. And a very important session that on business development happened there, which really helped me wake up to the idea of this concept of niche. Because at the beginning, I was like, I want to be everything to everyone. I really, I loved the concept of coaching. But what what PK, and I'm sure many of you know PK said, if you if you are everything to everyone, no one can find you. And that really resonated because if you're everything to everyone, then 7 billion people are looking and they can't find that particular shining light. And that really forced me to think about, who am I serving? Who am I willing to serve? Who do I want to serve? Not because I can't serve a larger community, it's only because I need them to find me. So the niche is really important so that people can find you. And niche is also very important so that you can message only for that group. Because if you start messaging for everybody, you become unclear on your messaging in the first place. So when you figure out your niche, you actually write everything you write, speak. You're only talking to one group of people. Others may like what you say and may come to you organically, but you are only working and writing and researching for that one group of people. So that's really, really important. It makes everything so much easier. And once I decided, it was like it lifted a whole weight off my shoulder, to be honest. So I have a little a 5-stage process I would want to talk through to do this. Of course, this can be a workshop on its own, but very quickly, what I did, I said, look, I've been working for so long. I know so many people. So where's this richness of people? Where are they, right? So first thing, I went I went through my phone. I went through my WhatsApp groups. I went through my LinkedIn profile. I went through all my previous contacts, my colleagues, my emails. I had some ad hoc, Excel file as a database. All the events I participated in. I even asked my husband who are his friends, what are his contacts, etc., and really got to understand who are the people I am in touch with. Now, an alternative would be to start from scratch and build a niche, build a network to be on its own from the beginning. But especially if you're coming from a corporate career, and that's what this topic is about, you already have a strong, rich set of people who know who you are. So that's the first part. Now, what to do next is really how do you kind of segmentize this, because everybody, people move in their profession. You meet people in all kinds of contexts. So what industry or profession are they, what roles and levels and geography, and what are the challenges that they are facing? Could you find something common so that your coaching niche can help them with that challenge or common challenges? So this is the second stage. So for me, my whole career has been in governance, risk, and audit. And obviously, that was my area of comfort. I knew people there, I spoke to them. But I said, but I also loved working with women. Being a mother of five, trying to keep, a career that's a thriving career and a thriving home is not easy. So I thought that would be something I want to do. I'm a mental fitness coach. I really wanted to work with everybody on mental fitness. So I was, grappling with all of this. So this helped me to move into looking at who are the people I am in touch with and have connections with. Next was to analyze the engagement strength, right? So, what is my interaction history? How often am I connecting with these people? You have 24 hours in a day. We can't meet everybody, connect with everyone. So, looking at what kind of depth we have helps to decide, okay, is this a gift horse I should welcome? Or should I find something else? So interaction history is very important, and mutual value. So groups where you've added value or who have sought your inputs, that's a low hanging fruit, because you just have to step in and bring this new offering to them, because they've already come to you for other things before. And finally, affinity, groups where you feel the strongest personal connection or alignment. So for me, women leaders, a strong personal connection. I'm already part of a network of women leaders in Bangalore, 1,000 leaders in that group. They could have ideally easily become a possible, you know, um, uh, audience for my niche. But then there are also that I'm a mother of five, and grappling with parenting is not easy. That was another topic that really, interested me. But then I've got this corporate connection with all of these auditors. So this were the kind of detailing I was coming up with. Then I looked for pattern, like, is there a particular industry which has the largest number of connections, or is there are my connections in a particular career stage? Do my LinkedIn messages that I get come from a particular community of maybe middle managers, or is it senior people, and so on and so forth. And of course, my own expertise and coaching style and passion is also important. So after doing all of this, I also then went on to speak to a few of them, just reach out. I mean, the worst they can say is I don't have time. But I reached out and I asked, could you? I put some polls up. I just had informal conversations saying, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Do you believe there is a need, etc. And then I also finally prepared my brochure and I sent it out to a few people for some inputs. Is it hitting the mark? Is this something that this profession needs? And after all of this, I finally, decided that I am definitely going to work with audit and risk professionals. That was my niche that I figured out. And I was also told in one of the workshops on business development, you can be a pure coach or you can be a coach and other things. I love facilitating. I love training. I love the vibes of the workshops that I run. So I was like, I can't just be a pure coach. I want to do more than that. So that was also a decision I had to make, because that will then, define the offerings I gave my clients. So having put all this together, I kind of, 2 months, 3 months ago, I'd been working with my clients for a while, but I didn't have a website. And I'm like, a website requires you to be clear on your niche. Until then, you can be everything to everyone. So in October, I launched my website with the clarity of this is the community I'm serving. And that really helped me. After that, I started doing more blogging and video blogging, etc., because it helped me decide to write only for this audience. So I hope that answered the question about why it's important and how to go about it. And I just want to leave with one more slide, because on this topic, This is a farewell card that my friends in the UK gave me in 2013 when I left the country. And I was so sure I was going to become a coach the moment I landed here. And of course, I told you the story about why I didn't become a coach straight away. But what I want to talk about is this thing. So GRC, for Sandeep will know this, GRC is governance, risk, and compliance. And in 2013, I knew I was already clear I was going to become a coach for this community. But then it took me another 11 years to seal the deal and say yes. So I also want to say that trust your gut, because spoke so much back in 2013 to my audience in the UK, saying there is a need for coaching in this for this community. And so that's why my friends put GRC coaching guru leaves the UK, because I was so clear then. And life happens, and 11 years or 10 years later, this whole process that I talked about led me to the same outcome. And really, why look a gift horse in the mouth? I mean, it's there. It's a low hanging fruit. It's waiting to be, plucked, really. So that's my answer to this question on finding a niche. Again, you're on mute, Sandeep. Sorry.
It's been really very structured and logical approach, and I'm sure will be very relevant for people who are planning to shift from their corporate career. And then added to that is, please hear to your gut.
Yes.
So, what could be some other ways of finding your niche?
Yeah. So, I mean, and I was the other angle is, if, for example, if you're not coming from a corporate background, or or you don't even want to work, maybe you didn't have a very great experience and you don't want to work with that community. I mean, that's also possible. I want to share something that was very insightful for me, because I'm part of the Positive Intelligence Coaches Network, and when I attended some of the calls there, one of the coaches there shared how they found their niche, and I thought that was really impressive, because rather than looking for an existing network of people, what that gentleman did was he looked at his, where was he strongest, most passionate about, and he came up with the most defined niche. He's a parent, a divorced parent of children who live who live globally. So children live, like they live 6 months in one country and 6 months with another parent in another country. So he literally said it's a painful experience when you have to say goodbye to your children, and it's equally, highly energetic when you have to prepare for the children to come and etc. So he said, I'm sure there are other people who are struggling in a similar way. So having experienced that in life and having decided that that group of people needs support, he basically went on to cultivate and find and connect with and start the process of networking and building his niche and his clientele, or his coach base, client base from there. So the other alternative way, I would say, is really to find your passion. And then, and usually your passion would typically come from something that has really resonated personally with you, right? And whether that's your journey as a leader, or maybe it's parenting or something, and then to tap into the network where those people exist. Now that's a slightly different process. It requires a lot of networking and network building, but it's a doable process. It's certainly doable, and it's the alternative for somebody perhaps who hasn't been working for a long time, or wants to get back into working, or want to get back into coaching after a sabbatical or something like that. This is the alternative way of build the network. The people exist, but they not exist in groups that you can tap into naturally. But if you start, you become the pioneer of that network.
Mm. So, Bhavani, you very beautifully shared the way you have been able to leverage the strength of your networking ability.
Yeah.
Uh, how to determine your niche? What role does community building play? Training a thriving coaching practice.
Yeah, so like I said, if you haven't found your niche through your existing network, then you have to build a community and then offer them the service which I just explained. But I would say, even after you find your niche, the community isn't going to be stagnant. I mean, people leave the community, people come into the community. So building the community is essential for a sustainable coaching practice. which means networking, which means finding those people, finding where they are, and tapping into that. So for me, I started for a long time. I was, to be honest, I was in a state of confusion. Am I an auditor or am I a coach? And if my clientele are all in the audit community or the risk community, but I'm now no longer in that fraternity, how will I be when I get back in there? Like, how do I go in there with a different avatar or a hat? But frankly, it's all in my head. And so I started maybe sometime last year. I just one of my good friends is a conference organizer, and I used to speak at their conferences, and I hadn't spoken for a long time. And I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? They're going to say no. So I just wrote and said, you're having an event, in Mumbai. Can I come? And of course, the response I got was, of course, absolutely. And and then the answer was, do you want to speak? And I said, sure, if there's an opportunity. So I think we're sitting on many opportunities which maybe we're not tapping into. But once we start to think about networking and building that community, believe me, the opportunities will appear. For example, again, I'm going to go back to some of the business development techniques I learned from the positive intelligence network of coaches. There's something what we call the 7-day sprint. So in a 7-day sprint, you basically focus in 1 week, you do everything it takes to get a speaking engagement, or you do everything it takes to get a call back for a meeting, which means researching that group, writing to 50 people, whatever it takes. But it's a 7-day sprint, so you give it a extreme focused effort to get that reaction or response you want. So it doesn't feel so big, because what we think is, when we think of business development, we think, oh my God, it's so difficult, there's a lot to do. But when they made it this 7-day sprint, and what they did for us is, we could choose whether we wanted to get a speaking gig, or we wanted to get 3 meetings with a potential client, and they put us into groups like this. So they put us into these cohorts, and you had a buddy who is also trying to get the same thing as you. So we would, and my buddy was somewhere in the US. I mean, and we would connect on WhatsApp, and I would say, this is what I'm trying to do. Can you check and let me know what you're thinking? And she would send me the same. And finally, she got her speaking gig in a radio station, and I got my speaking gig through this opportunity with a friend. So the point was, she was like edging me on, like, what are you doing about it? I was doing it for her, and I'm speaking to this network of coaches. We can help each other as well in that same way, because we need to get out there, need to be seen, and that community will follow you once you are visible. So that's my take on this.
So almost half an hour into the session, and we have some very interesting questions coming up in the chat box. Anju, would you like those to be asking now, or we wait for another couple of questions?
No, I would like to ask one question now at this step, because there's some very interesting insights that Bhavani has been sharing. So this question comes from Mohan Shripada. The question is that, Bhavani, you come from a rational legal background of operational risk. How in coaching are you dealing with the science and art of coaching?
Okay. So first of all, I think I missed my calling from the very beginning. I feel I should have gone into HR or something, which has the human element. So I don't know whether I was a perfect auditor, because I always felt there was something missing for me. So to answer that, there was already a natural affinity towards working with the science of human thinking, etc. But I never kind of discovered how. I come from a traditional, I would say not very traditional, but a fairly, a very structured kind of home, which says you have to be an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant. You know how typical households are. And an idea of going down psychology or something like that wasn't even entertained. So I think I became an accountant and then became an auditor out of the natural course of events. But even then, even in my coaching career, I mean, even in my auditing and risk career, I always try to bring in the human element, because I'm like, even in risk and audit, it's people working with each other. And often we're people working with each other in a fairly, antagonistic style, because you are coming to tell somebody to do something differently. So it was not very difficult to work with the art and science of coaching, because I think it is lift and shift. Right now, in fact, what I'm trying to do is lift and shift coaching competencies back to audit and risk. I think they're so highly relevant. And when people are working with each other to have things like presence, active listening, all of the things that we do as coaches. So for me, it felt fairly natural. I felt more comfortable coming in here. It almost felt like I was sometimes told you were too soft as a risk and audit leader. So I'm like, maybe it was a natural, more natural shift back into the coaching space. I would love to hear, maybe not now, but from others who perhaps chose consciously the role of risk and audit, and how they are making the transition. I would say for me, it feels like coming home in some sense. And I want to take this magic of coaching back to the fraternity I've been with for so long, because I believe that fraternity could really do with the elevating the interpersonal human side. That's really my philosophy right now.
It resonates very well. I can still remember all your topics in the audit conferences also used to be related to the neuroscience of the auditor and the auditee, rather than the auditing techniques and strategy. And that's why it interested everyone more. Which, how talking of your self-awareness, also how can auditors handle difficult conversation, especially difficult conversation when the auditee is feeling vulnerable. So
Absolutely.
I still remember that, and I was not surprised when you announced you becoming a coach premier.
Yes, indeed. Okay,
Sure.
thank you, Anju, for that question, and maybe we can move.
Yeah. So Anju, any more question you would like to ask, or we can wait for a couple of more questions?
Yeah, we can wait, but this question seems to be a little more towards the same question that was asked by. Uh, there are two questions raised. So, if we have the liberty of time, I would like to pick one more question now by Ravi Prakash Sharma. He says that, hi, being auditor to coach, there is a lot of change in mindset in both coach and coachee. How do you transform image from being an auditor to coach?
Okay.
So, Bhavani, your views on this?
Yeah. So I, like I said, it's almost the same answer to the earlier question.
Yeah, that's why I
Sandeep,
asked. Yeah.
and Sandeep, would vouch for this. Ever since I got to India back in 2013, 2014, I have been seeking, whenever there was a speaking opportunity, I would put my hand up, and all the topics I spoke about was all about the psychology of audit and risk. And I would bring things like bias and mindset and resilience and etc. So I was already known in some sense about a person who would be speaking about the human side and human skills of auditors and risk managers. So when I announced that I think for many it was, they saw the natural shift already, and and I think throughout my corporate career, I was always coaching in some sense. So I would always try to empower the other person. So those who know me would see this as a natural shift. So there wasn't a huge rejigging of image I had to do, because I was already playing in that space, even as an audit leader or risk leader. So I think I would not be the right person to answer to make a full transformational shift. It wasn't. It was for me more natural, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Anju, do we have your permission to move forward?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Uh, Another very important aspect which we normally are not able to get confidence on, what pricing should we implement for ourselves? So what is that right pricing for services which we offer? It's often a challenge for most of the coaches. So what formula or mindset helped you set your pricing? And how can coaches align their pricing with the value they deliver?
$1 million question, Sandeep. I wish we had more. We had some reference point for this industry, but no. So let me just tell you what I did. Okay, it took me a while to get here, but I think I'm okay now where I am. So first and foremost, absolutely do not compare with anybody. Like, I don't compare with anyone, because it's for the same experience and background. I know somebody who is charging 5K an hour and 30K an hour, and I'm like, what's going on. And so I'm sure they will all have that could be mindset, it could be what they believe about themselves, deficiency, abundance, etc. I've decided not to compare. So that's the first thing, right? I value is subjective, and there are so many factors in play. So I think the first thing is to decide what is right for you, and not by comparing. The other thing, like I spoke about, the niche is, find this really understanding who you are servicing is extremely important, because value is relative to them. It's not what, it's not what how valuable I am, it's how much value they get. So for me, I spent a lot of time really studying the community I was serving. I read up, like Forbes and HBR and other material. The CA Institute of India. I mean, everybody had lots of research material and thought leadership out there about the challenges of the sector. So really study that. And then I've been always keen to connect everything, every technical failure or challenges that people face from a technical side to actually the human element, because again, I believe strong resilient human beings can solve anything. So that was the other thing I did, and I would go to the client to talk about how that human resilience element actually is going to be a game changer for them. So that would be, so that's the value. So I actually have, if you go to my website, I have all of my services I've written in Simon Sinek's golden circle format: why, how, and what. So that framework really helped me to articulate the value. Okay, so being very clear of the value, so that anytime somebody challenges you, you have your fallback to say, this is the value I bring, right? And you can go back and say, what is this shift worth to you, right? That's really what it is. Then the next question comes: how much do you want to work? Do you want to work 40 hours a week, 90 hours a week, as the trend is going on, in the social media, or 50 hours a month? I mean, it's up to you, right? Because this also determines how much you want to charge, and because you're charging to earn, so you need to decide that. So for me, I came up. I right now have told myself, if I get 10 days of work a month, I'm happy. If I get more, wonderful. If I get less, I can manage. So 10 days, that's my target for working with a client. Of course, there's plenty of work in the background that, I'm not counting about that. I'm talking about client facing effort. The other element which really helped me decide, and I don't know how many of you know of this, but it really helped me, is as self-employed professionals, Section 44 AD of the Income Tax Act has certain provisions on how much can you earn before you have to be audited. And I don't want to be audited. So, I want to earn only as much as I can do without being audited. And the reason being this, and I don't know, Sandeep kept asking me, whether this is something I want to share, but I really believe it's important. You can earn up to 75 lakhs a year, and the government is willing to presume that you have had incurred expenses, 50% of expenses, which means 75 lakhs a year, you only offer 37.5 lakhs for tax. Now, which means, and of course, no coach will claim that 50% of their income is going away in expenses. Never, right? We are not a very high cost profession. So therefore, the moment you get audited, you have to pay on actuals. You have to pay tax on actuals. So one of my other goals was, you will not earn more than, I don't need more than that to survive, to be honest, to have a good life. So and of course there are other things, here and there, savings, etc. So this was my target. I said I want to earn 75 lakhs a year, which means 6.25 lakhs a month on average. And I'm being very candid. So if it's 10 days, if it's 10 days, my lower limit would be 62, will be what? Maybe 60, 70K a day, right? If I were to do, that's my lower limit. And I have my upper limit. So the next point is, of course, have a range, right? It depends on what the client, because it's again value to the client. So if a client is telling me, Bhavani, I need you to do group coaching, and I'm going to give you, we have 150 people, and we need you to do it with this many people and this many frequency. I'm like, of course, I'm going to negotiate a better, they will, some economies of scale will be there. They will get a better deal from me. Or if it's a one-off thing and I have to curate something completely new for the client, then it's a different thing. So always have a range. And then for me, the other thing is, comfort is important. You have to be comfortable with what you charge. And I couldn't charge my higher end to somebody who's paying after paying tax and then coming and paying me from the disposable income. That wasn't right. So I charge people who are paying from their pocket differently from what I charge corporate. And I'm sure other coaches on the call have the same flexibility. And then my last element was I will not charge less than my hourly rate when I was employed. Because if a company is willing to pay me this much money for my services as a full-time employee, you can't be charging less than that. I mean, that's ridiculous. So that's my lower limit. So this is just how I've just, because it's hard. It's hard. There's no straightforward answer to this. I've just come up with my 3 or 4 criteria to help me determine my pricing. So this is how I've done it. So it may or may not work for everybody, but I've kind of used this framework and formula to approach it.
And no comparison.
What do you mean?
First, know yourself.
Yeah.
But comparison hurts because everyone is different and they can't be the same. And how much you want to work, how much you want to earn. So with that kind of goal clarity, you decided on your strategy of pricing, and you're doing well. When I say you are doing well, you reached there so fast. And whenever I asked you, you mentioned about some of the other AI tool which has facilitated you reaching here.
Mm-hmm.
So with the rapid evolution of actually tools and AI, what mindset and practical steps should coaches take to stay relevant and integrate these advancements into their practice?
Okay.
Is my next question.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's move to that. So first, in mindset, there's only one mindset. It's a learning mindset because you just have to. Because it's scary, when I look at AI tools and I tune into some of these experts. There's so many how do I say it? They call themselves coaching schools, but these AI digital marketing schools, and it's like a plethora. I mean, you don't know where to stop and start. So I would just say, while there's a lot out there, just pick one objective and just go approach it with a learning mindset and ask for help because somebody's already done it. So if it's playing it forward. So if somebody can help you break down that complexity of a tool, and if you've seen somebody do it and they're willing to share, just play it forward, and that's the best thing to do. And I know somebody who is, after many people have asked them for how to do the same thing, they finally decided to put a course out there and just attend one of these courses because they do help you figure out. One thing is clear: if we don't embrace AI, we are creating a larger divide in our efficiency as coaches. So it is, you might as well embrace it because unless we don't want to be efficient. So I think that's the answer to the mindset piece. It's not difficult once you get into it's a bit like swimming. If you keep standing at the side of the pool, you will never learn to swim, right? So people are like standing and looking at the water and thinking, yeah, I'm gonna go for my class. But the day you get into the pool, first day it's scary. You have somebody to help you swim. Before you know it, you'll be swimming. That's the same, I would say, with getting AI comfortable, right? So I have just going to share a few quick tools that I use. There's plenty out there, but I use these regularly. So I'm just going to share those. So firstly, I know. Thank you for some of the feedback on the invite video and the teaser video I sent. It was done, and I do many of these videos now. It took me a year, Sandeep, to become comfortable with the camera. Because that's nothing to do with AI, right? I think we all have to put the camera there and just start talking because there's no shortcut to becoming camera comfortable. But once you're comfortable with the camera, then actually creating the video and putting it out there is really easy. So let me just quickly talk about what I use. So I have paid ChatGPT. It's been a life changer. It's the cheapest secretary I've got. It's brilliant. It's like he does so many things for me. I use it every day. Even from refining emails, whatever it is, right? I have an idea, and now with the latest ChatGPT, you can talk to it. So you don't even have to type anything. You just, even if you articulate your need in a gibberish, semi audible, semi understandable script, it understands. And its ability to transcribe what you speak into the command is so precise that you just have to click enter and it gives you the result you want. So I would really recommend, those who haven't gone for paid ChatGPT, definitely go for it. It's cost 1,700 rupees a month for the Indian community. absolutely worth the investment. So I use it for a lot, but I do use it. So once I write my script, I do use it. For example, I don't have the patience to write to move a script from 2 minutes to 1 minute. I just don't have the time. So I would put it up there and say, here's my script that's 2 minutes long. Please help me summarize it. It does it. I'm okay with it. Now, the other thing, many people say, can speak off the cuff? Like you can speak off the cuff, but I would say, if you want to make a professional video, teleprompters are really important. And many, if you look at if you go to the studios or those news TV channels, they have these big devices, teleprompters. Today, there are plenty of teleprompter apps on your phone. So my teleprompter app, it's called teleprompter, by the way, on Android, actually records my video. So I play it. It's a recorder editor, but I don't use it to edit. I just record it there. 175 rupees a month, really, really affordable. And finally, I use Filmora to edit. Now, Filmora, again, I'm not endorsing Filmora. It's just something I've done a lot of trial and error, and I really like it. It's AI enabled. So what's really powerful about this is that it's AI enabled to remove my green screen. It is AI enabled to do my subtitles. It's AI enabled to, if I say I want this kind of mood of a music for my background, it creates it on the go. So it creates music, it edits, it does so many things. Now, if you open Filmora, it feels overwhelming because there's so many features there. But it took me a day of sitting with the guide and figuring out. And now I just need 3 or 4 clicks. It's only 3 or 4 things I really need for my kind of video. If you're making a motion picture or something, that's different matter. So I can actually now take an idea, create a script, record it, and really, it's probably an hour is all I need to do this. So I think this has been a real game changer for me. I also want to talk about quickly, what I use for my hardware. And I know this is not AI, anything to do with AI, but many people ask, so I'm just going to share. This is what my setup looks like. I have a green screen, I have a ring light, I have some clips, I have a tripod for my phone. I use my phone. I don't use anything else. I just use my phone to record. I don't have any fancy mics or anything. Not required for YouTube or LinkedIn. It's required probably for a podcast, right? So this is what I have. And finally, that's the output of teleprompter. The first video up there is an output from teleprompter, and this is the output from Filmora. So this is how I do my videos. So those of you who have seen any of my videos, this is it. I'm just sharing it because it has really been a game changer for me. Okay, so that's one thing. Maybe we can ask questions at the end. I'm just going to finish up the other tools I use as well, because in the interest of time. So another thing we need to do as coaches is when we write blogs, we want to put images out there. When we write our proposals, we want to put some images, and sometimes we find it really hard to find the image we want. So and now there's so much AI enabled tools for imagery as well. So I use ChatGPT Pro. There's an app within the paid ChatGPT called Image Creator, and there's so many other apps, but I use this. It just responds to my prompts and creates an image for me. In fact, the opening slide, I'm just going to go back quickly. This slide is a chat. This is a ChatGPT creation. This image in the background. Just 2 or 3 prompts, and I got this image. So I just want to say that experiment and figure out what's right for you. The other thing I use is Photo Room. It's 170 rupees a month. It's a really powerful product, AI enabled again. So this image, this is taken in my roof garden. It went from this with all these dirty pots and everything to this in under a minute. Right? So you take the photograph, put it into Photo Room, ask it 1 click, remove background, 1 more click, add background, and you've got your image ready. And it's AI enabled in such a way I can say put the person sitting on a gray sofa, and it creates an image with a gray sofa. That's AI enablement. Really powerful. So my organization is, at least my coaching brand is called the Evolving Way. There's a different whole long story about the word evolving, but it came from Carl Rogers' book on becoming a person. It's stuck in my head. I can't get rid of that word evolving. So this is my logo. But by the way, it took me 3 prompts on ChatGPT to create this logo. I tried all kinds of logo libraries, etc. I couldn't find something that was comfortable for me. So this Image Creator Generator Pro gave me this logo in just 3 or 4 prompts, and I loved it, so I kept it. And it's unique because it's not like it's, it's supported by DALI. So, DALI is, as many of you might know, is an AI enabled tool on ChatGPT, which brings different concepts of imagery and creates something new. So that's there. And then the last one I want to talk about, and again, this is just one of many tools out there. I used to go to Google, click on image, try to find an image I like, and then they won't get the right quality, and it's really annoying. Then you keep trying and wasting time. So I decided to go for paid image library. I pay $7.25 a month, and I just want to show how powerful this library is. It's got thousands and thousands of images, but what it also has is a AI enabled image creator. So just to show, I just put these words: a group of Indian professional leaders with their teams enjoying camaraderie during a soft skills workshop. And in less than a minute, 30 seconds, it created these images for me. And if I give it more prompt, it will create more images. And these are pretty good. I mean, and you get high resolution images at a click of a button. And you can see up here in the top right corner, it says 216K. That's the number of credits I have. So as I create more images, that credits will go down. And then you can add more credits if you want. So this is another set of AI enabled tools. Not difficult, just requires us to have an intent, get on there, log in. If we feel a bit of difficulty, ask for some help. There is somebody out there in all of our coaches groups who has already done it. Just say, I'm trying to figure out how to use free pick. Anybody has done it, and I'm sure you'll find someone who's done it. The next three tools I'm just going to talk about is this. On ChatGPT, you have something called Video Summarizer. So I love watching YouTube, but sometimes it's long videos. I don't have time. So I just Video Summarizer scans the whole video of an hour long and gives it to me in a 2-minute write up, the crux of that video, for example. So that really helps me to just, if I want to go prepared for something and I haven't had time to watch the whole thing. Speechify, 240 rupees a month. So I often like to multitask. Like, and when I say multitask, it's not real multitasking. I love doing art and craft. So sometimes I listen to stuff in the background while I'm doing that. And I can upload a PDF into Speechify and it'll read it out to me. And it's not like, it's not mechanical voice. It's a really nice articulate voice that you can hear. And the good thing is you can speed up the reading and etc. So that really helps. And the last thing I use is AI voice generator. There's a free and paid option. What I do this for is when I run some of my workshops with clients and I give a case study for something that they need to read. Sometimes people take too long to read and then you lose time. So what I've done now is all my case studies, if it's a very long case study, I create an audio recording of it so that I play the audio recording as people read the script of the case study, which means that they can't say that it takes, I need 10 more minutes or not, because it's a 5-minute case study. You read it in 5 minutes. The audio is playing in the background, and AI voice generator takes your Word document and converts it into an audio recording just like that. So I'm just giving an overview of the kinds of tools out there. Only you would know what your tools are, what you need. I'm just giving an overview of what I use as a coach. Any questions on this? Because once we move on, then it'll be hard to come back. Anju?
Bhavani,
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's been amazing. And thanks for sharing all this. And those messages are being repeatedly shared in the chat box.
So
it sounds very user-friendly. What is the difficult part in it?
Difficult part?
What is the difficult part? See, most of us are still not doing it.
I'll tell you what's difficult. It's your mindset to get started. That's all it is. There is nothing difficult. It's just there's something that's blocking us from getting started. Once we get started, it's not difficult. So
yeah.
And I was there until I had no choice. And I want to just, I think we all have to connect to our bigger why, right? Because my website was sitting there in WIP mode for almost 2 years. And it took one coaching conversation with somebody, and a peer coach who I really respect. And that conversation, she said to me, what would happen if this website isn't done? Right. And it was just a very simple why question. A what question, but really what got to the why. I won't be a thriving coach. It was simple, right? And so it wasn't even an option. If it's not an option, then what am I sitting on the fence for? It was very simple for me. And then on that day, which was 14th of September 24, I made a commitment. I printed out the date of my launch. I put it on my wall in front of me. For 2 weeks, I hardly slept. I was like in this zombie mode, just working towards my website. And on the 3rd of October, I released it. Then I realized I was procrastinating over nothing because I did it in 2 weeks, which means that once I had my intent of getting started, then figuring out, learning, all of these tools I also sometimes somewhat discovered during that journey was not difficult. So what was stopping me from getting started? That was really, so I think if you ask me what's difficult is that we are giving ourselves excuses to get started, really. That's it. Sorry if it's not helpful, but that's the truth.
I would like
You're
to
right.
step in here asking a question, Sandeep, if I may.
Yeah. Please, please, please.
Thank you so much. So, Bhavani, there's a question by Shubhra Sharma. She's asking, how did you handle the lack of structure that a mainstream corporate job provides to a complete blue skies, unstructured world?
See, structure is, so companies provide structure in a corporate role. We provide structure in our coaching journey, right? I mean, I hope from what you've seen, so it's blue sky in the nature of the service, perhaps. We don't know where, as we enter a coaching conversation, we don't know the direction of the conversation, etc. But building a business, even in coaching, isn't for me, requires structure. So for me, it's a lift and shift of the structure. It's building your own structure that works for you, but there has to be structure. There has to be structure for what you do in the morning when you get up. Are you going to send some emails out? Are you going to build your database today? Are you going to add a few more names to it? There has to be structure. There has to be a plan. So I think it's a transferable skill. That structure is needed. May not be in the strictness or the grandiose of a corporate organization, but I think structure is needed. For me, there's lots of blue sky thinking in corporate as well, by the way. In fact, they pay a lot of money for people who do blue sky thinking in the in the corporate world. So I think both are needed in both these roles.
More question we'll take up towards the end. We
Yeah,
have a lot of grounds to cover, and we also have a breakout session at the end,
I know. I'm conscious
which
of the
will be
time
very
though.
helpful for all the participants. So we in all have about 18 minutes now, and I would like to know, see, howsoever natural or gradual is our shift, there will be some points where we will feel vulnerable. So in building your coaching business, how do you tackle your areas of discomfort or weakness? And what advice would you give to others
Yeah. Okay.
hesitant to step outside?
Yeah, I completely get it. So first of all, surround yourself with people who are your champions and willing to help you step outside. Um, so I have a slide on this, but I want to just say, I think we are so attached to our comfort, and that's why we don't step outside, to be honest. And the journey of becoming a coach, a complete shift from a long career in corporate, and I'm speaking mainly to those who are making that shift. For me, the biggest worry I had when I was stepping out was my loss of community. Because I don't know whether Subhash is on call, but Subhash is who's my coach, mentor, trainer. I said about finding that community, and then he was one who encouraged me to take up the ICF membership, an ICF MC role in Bangalore, because I wanted to be part of a new community. So I'm part of the MC in ICF Bangalore because I consciously wanted to help find a place where I can talk to bounce ideas off people to help me get out of the comfort zone. So the first thing I would say before anything else is find a circle of people who can be your uplifters, who in the same journey with you. And I think that the chapter has enough members to help each other in that sense, right? So that's the one thing. The other thing is, like my website story, the why is very important. Why am I doing this? If I'm doing this for money and I don't see money as a real possibility, then of course there's not enough for why to come out of the comfort zone. But if you're clear on the why, then that becomes your anchor every time you feel uncomfortable. Because the option is you just sit and just do a trajectory. If I don't do this, where am I going to end up? It'll be very far from my why. So therefore, that becomes a real anchor to keep you back, something like a magnet to keep you back on track, to make progress despite your discomfort. Yeah, I think I've answered that second point. And I mean, this is, like I said, this is what has helped me, right? It's the fear of not getting to my why
Mhm.
was powerful enough to help me stay on track. The other thing, like I said, I'm a positive intelligence mental fitness coach. I kind of started this program in 22. It has been with me for a while. I know there are some others. I really truly believe in how it has helped me, at least. I am so clear now on my saboteurs, and I don't think many of you might be familiar with the terminology, that whenever I get uncomfortable, I I ask myself now, I'm able to feel that discomfort in my body, and I'm like, okay, which saboteur is acting up now? Like I use PQ a lot to help me discover my saboteurs, and it'll be the avoider, because my biggest saboteur is the avoider. And I'm procrastinating over something that feels big and difficult, like this big ball in front, I mean, this stone here. This is exactly how I feel in about most of my things. It feels hard to begin with, but then I acknowledge that saboteur feeling and I say, okay, break it down. What is it I can do right now? And then before you know it, it's no longer difficult. So the point is, you have to, each of us will have our way of dealing with discomfort, right? And whether you have meditation or whatever it is, everybody will have a technique of dealing with discomfort. For me, it was PQ. I still use PQ a lot to help me move from discomfort to using the positive mindset to take action. The other one is, you're not alone at all, right? There are 84 people on this call. I'm sure everybody has more people within their network. Ask for help, because your discomfort is somebody else's discomfort too. And I mean, and I think John was on the call. I think he's still on the call. So sorry, John, for calling you out. But John said that he did cold calling. He almost gave me permission, because if such a senior MCC coach can has done that, I can do it. So now I'm like, I reach out to strangers, because somebody who said that they've done it. So if they've done it and it's helped them build a thriving business, I can do it. So now I have crafted a WhatsApp message to write to strangers, and I use it. And it has resulted in them coming back with their name, details, and phone number. So it works. So I think, so that was one. The other one is, there's a coach, she's a Bangalore-based coach I really admire on LinkedIn. So I wrote to her and I said, how do you make such brilliant videos? She said, just start. She said, if I go back and show you my videos from 10 years ago, they were horrible. But I started, and today you get to see what you see. So these are the kinds of support we need. So there's always somebody to hold your hand, to take you out of the comfort zone. I think, again, reframing your journey. No one's perfect, and every time we try and we don't succeed, we've just had a learning moment rather than a setback. So that's how I've done it. If somebody rejects me, I had some clients says, I don't need you to come and tell me how to work with my team. I can do it myself. I said, okay, thank you very much, and I leave. That's a learning moment. It's a moment to build my resilience. You will get rejection. So I would say every time there's a setback, it's a learning moment for me. So that's really what I want to say about getting out of the comfort zone, Sandeep.
No, anything more, Bhavani, you will like to, because the setbacks are integral part of any entrepreneurial journey. And you mentioned you come back stronger. How do you manage to come back stronger each time, every time?
So I think, like I said, again, I don't want to advocate for PQ, but it really has helped me to, um, what am I going to learn from this moment, right? If somebody, so either I have to strengthen my presentation. So somebody might say to me, that's that brochure is not great. It's too detailed. Okay, learning moment. Do something. Work on it again. Or I think for me, coming back stronger is an inevitable outcome if you take your setbacks and discomfort as learning moments. It's just that simple. I think I've overcome this fear. I used to be crippled by fear of judgment. Like, what are people going to think? Constantly crippled. Then I'm like, so many billions of people in this world. Am I going to worry about everybody's thoughts about me? So that also really, today that's another back of my mind support that I have. I really don't worry about what people think anymore, because I used to be worried about trying to get the perfect deliverable and get it right. There's no right. There's no perfect. It's only a deliverable. It's better to be out there and do something than to be sitting and waiting for that perfect moment, because it doesn't exist. So for me, I think, to answer your question, strength comes from trying and doing. That's it.
Yeah, it is. you have to take the first step, and strength actually comes from trying. I fully agree with you. And we are at 10 past 7. So we will see another couple of questions, or maybe one question, which can be combined.
Yeah.
So what role does a growth mindset and an abundance mindset play in the success of a coachpreneur? And how coaches can actually, more importantly, cultivate these mindsets
See,
amidst challenges and uncertainties?
I think everything I talked about coming out of the comfort zone is a growth mindset oriented person, right? So growth mindset is always about believing I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there, and I'm getting stronger every day, and I'm willing to try. So I think the real invitation is, if you're not getting out there and doing the things we want to do to build that thriving business, then what is it that's holding us back? It's more, you cultivate it first by addressing what is holding you back. And then I'm totally convinced that once we start taking action, and once we start collaborating and asking for support, you every day is a learning moment. You learn something new every day, and you keep getting stronger. So I would say growth mindset is an inevitable outcome of working on yourself. And of course, as coaches, we talk about the coaching mindset and everything else, right? It's all about this, isn't it? We work with our clients about it. How do we now reverse apply on ourselves? That's for me that answer. On the abundance mindset, I mean, I also, every time I get fearful of, oh my God, I don't know where my next paycheck is coming from, or what's the pipeline like and everything else. That feeling comes from a deficiency mindset, right? You start getting worried and you feel claustrophobic, thinking, oh my God, I don't know where money is going to come from. And then I go onto the internet and I look at my LinkedIn. I'm thinking, who are the people in my niche, and how many of them exist? And I just want to show just a quick thing. Like, I put a slide here. I just went and put two key buyers of my service, right? So my target clientele are the heads of internal audit and the chief risk officers. And I've just put this to show that just in India alone, there are 5,100 heads of audit, and there are 5,100 approximately chief risk officers. And there might be some overlaps, but let's say between the two, there are 10,000 people. It'll take me a lifetime to service this group of people. Even if there were 100 coaches like me, it'll take a lifetime to service this group of people. So then the question is, what am I not doing to get to these people, rather than. So then the abundance mindset says there's enough work for me and many more coaches like me. And every time I see a coach coming in the beginning, I used to get a bit panicky when there's a new coach in my niche, right? I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Then I'm thinking, every coach that comes into this niche is actually going to create a bigger market. Don't you think? Because they're going to be advocating for the same service that I'm advocating for. It's actually going to expand the market, because there's a huge addressable market. Many individuals don't even know the value and benefits of coaching. So rather than feel worried about, there's more coaches entering the space, etc. I think if you're clear on your niche and you track the progress of that market, it's actually truly, enabling. And I know I just did another filter between these two groups. There are only 1,000 connections in this group that are my connections, my first connections, which means my own people I know in this group, maybe, either immediately or indirectly, are only 1,000 people. There's still 9,000 people who I don't even know yet. Just think of that for scale and abundance. So that's to answer. If you really look, you will find there's plenty for everyone. That's my answer to that question.
Have you written any book? If not,
No,
when are you
Sandeep,
writing one?
no time, no,
And
no.
when can we invite you for a workshop? That the president will decide. But I found, and most of the audience also have found it extremely useful. And without wasting any time, I think we can now move on to the breakout session. If you
I
feel
want to
that
do
is
one more slide, Sandeep, very quickly, because I want
okay.
the breakout question depends on this slide, and I want to just talk about it, because if you see in our teaser and everything, we talked about the Coachpreneur Thrive Wheel, right? So when I was researching about what it is I need
This
to
is very
do,
important.
what I need to do as a coach entrepreneur, I kind of thought of, and we all know the wheel of life, so it's just a different take on that, right? We've talked about niche and expertise a lot today. I'm not going to go into it more, but I kind of broke it down. There are about 3 or 4 elements within niche. The other thing is, how clear am I on my offerings? Am I doing group coaching? Am I doing team coaching? Am I doing one-on-one? What am I doing, right? Is it a a weekend work? Is it a weekend away type of coaching experience? What am I doing, and what is the value of each of those offerings? It's extremely important because it should be at the back of your head. You meet a stranger, and you need to be able to tell them that, right? The next thing is pricing. We talked about pricing. It's not just about what to price. How am I able to generate a sustainable pipeline? Right. So it's because if you want to get 2 clients to convert, you might need 200 to begin with, right? So how am I building my pipeline? First of all, separate question is how am I tracking it? That's a different piece. But the other thing is about pipeline. What is my visibility and branding? How is my LinkedIn profile? Is it speaking to what I do? Do I have a YouTube channel? Do I know my personal branding? How do I appear to other people? Am I consistent or inconsistent? Am I using all the channels of communication effectively? Do I have a newsletter? So many questions, right? Because like I always believe one of the things this coaching journey has taught me is patience, because in corporate, you ask today, you might get tomorrow. Here you meet a client, a potential client in January, and they'll come back to you in June and say, now I want to work with you. So you have to be really patient. But if you don't do the work in January to get them to see you, you are not going to get the client converted in June. So you have to be visible and with branding. The other thing is it's not just important to have visibility. You have to engage with your audience. So are you creating content that is right for them? Right? Are you first of all, are you expanding your audience? Are you going to conferences? Are you going and meeting more people? That's one thing. And are you engaging with them? Are you giving them things that are relevant to them? So that's about your reach and engagement. Next is very important. We often forget, what are my systems and operations? How do I raise my invoice? How do I track my billables? How do I collect my money, pay my taxes? Do I have a CRM? Do I need a tool? Do I use Excel? What do I do? Do I have, how do I do my creatives for my marketing? For example, I still, unfortunately, haven't embrace the world of Canva yet. It's on my to-do list to learn. So I still use other desktop tools, but I've already found somebody who's going to teach me. So I'm set for Canva because it's inevitable. If you want to collaborate in the creative space, you must use it now. It's almost like that. So there are things I know in my pipeline of learning and development. Then of course, AI enablement, automation efficiency, your mailing tool. Are you able to automate it? So many questions, right? Then the next one, of course, is we talked about the mindset, the human. I don't want to go into that. And finally, how are we connecting with our actual clients? Do we get testimonials? Do we get referrals? Do we know how satisfied they are? It's a full cycle, right? So I just wanted to share this. I mean, behind this, I've got an Excel file which I kind of break down and track. Not always easy, but my point is these are all the dimensions we have to think about to actually get to a thriving corporate career. I'm sorry, a coachpreneur or coach entrepreneurship. I'm just, before we move to the breakout, one more point I just want to leave as my last remarks before we go to breakout. A thriving coach has 4 elements, is what I believe. One is your coaching acumen. We're not going to talk about that. I know we all said, of course, get your ICF credentials. I'm going to do a plug for ICF here, of course. I think that is a real benchmark for a good coaching acumen. Your business acumen, today we talked a lot about business acumen. We need to cultivate it. If we don't have it, then go attend workshops, etc. Get your business acumen. Digital acumen, if we're not digitally comfortable or sound, we are creating a gap between us and another coach who is comfortable, and that gap is an efficiency gap, and that's and we have to narrow that gap. So you need to get to digital comfort. If you're not, make it your coaching topic with your peer coach next. And then finally, your human acumen. Are you resilient? Have you got a growth mindset, an abundance mindset? I mean, when you have all of this firing on all cylinders, you got a thriving coach. So I'm not there yet. Okay, it's a journey, but I feel like I want to make sure I work on all of these dimensions on myself. So on that note, and with 20 minutes to go, shall we go into breakout?
Yeah, I think we may curtail the time limit.
Sure.
Instead of 10 minutes, we can have 6 minutes. Since we have Nandini, are we set with the breakout rooms?
Yeah.
So I have 2 questions.
Just give me a
I invite you to take a screenshot. Those coaches who are still on the call. It's just, I just feel that we've shared so much today. Just two questions to ponder in groups. Where are you, for example? And you please feel free to take a screenshot of this as well, because this is the Thrive wheel. So where are you in this wheel? And the other thing is, uh, what one thing can you do differently? Maybe you've been thinking of asking for someone for help, or you've been thinking to get that video out. What shift, mindset, strategy, or habit can make, are you going to make to get greater alignment with your journey as a coachpreneur? So these are the two questions that we want to discuss in the breakout. Maybe 6 minutes we come back and do a quick debrief. Sandeep, what do you think? I know we're running out of time, so if you feel we don't have enough time, we can skip and go straight to Q&A. I'm also okay with that.
I feel it will be useful for everyone to just introspect and arrive at, and they can start working on it later.
Yeah, I think Q&A. I think somebody said Q&A. I also think maybe Q&A might be better. I'm okay to send you these questions. Maybe we can send it to the audience. They can always just think about it on their own. We've got. What do you think?
So
I feel we
maybe
don't.
okay, fine. I think with the time constraint, I think we can straight away move on to the QA. These questions
Yeah,
can straight away. People have been asking for these slides also, which
absolutely.
can be then shared. So Anju, may I pass on the baton to you for the question answer,
Yes.
and
I
then we can
don't
have
see.
a group photograph also.
Yeah. So we don't have any more questions in the chat, but what we have is plenty of compliments, and these compliments are from almost more than 18 people. I'd like to read out their names. This is Sarita Behel, Sunny Bhasin, Rahul Srinivasan, Shubhra Sharma, Pushkar Vaidya, Maheshwari Jani, Motriya, Navneet Trikha, Dexter, Meera Diwan, Mona Anand, Sana, Adhir Mathur, Ravi Prakash, Venkata, Kabir, Nandini, and few more names I've yet to pick from the chat. And everybody is overwhelmed. The common compliments that have come from most of them is that it has been an amazing session. Thank you, Bhavani, for this wonderful, insightful knowledge sharing. It is so simple and clear, a very humble approach of being so open and sharing it flawlessly. Great stuff, brilliantly vulnerable, transparent. Appreciate your openness and sharing it with all of us, and highly laudable. So, these are some of the common compliments that everybody is pouring in, and it's still coming on. So thank you, Bhavani, for such a wonderful, insightful conversation and self reflection on how we can take our journeys to the next level. I think some people have raised their hands. So we begin with inviting
Yeah,
them to speak.
Yes,
yeah.
please.
Okay, so let's let have Sunny unmute and ask his question. Sunny Basin, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Bhavani, for the share. My question, I just typed it also, because you talked about pipeline. Do you feel it is possible to scale or have that automatically having the business, or it is always that same process when the coaching journey ends, you kind of, and because for me personally, I see the dip coming in when the coaching journey ends, and then I don't have a team, and the BD kind of is the curve where I am struggling. So maybe if you could share some light there.
So a bit like you, Sunny, I also don't want to hire. I don't want a team. I want to work solo. I've done enough of my working and managing people, etc. So what I feel is it's important. So that sustainable coaching business needs to happen only for it to happen. You have to have every day you need to do BD work, which means every day, some hours of your day you have to put towards business development. When the service and the clients need meet, we don't know, but we cannot wait till there is no work, or when one coaching engagement is over, etc. So it's almost like every morning 2 hours has to be business development, whether that's making some videos out there, or reaching out to people, or building your pipe, just sending out something, etc. I feel business development needs to be part of a consistent effort of a coach. Only then it becomes a cycle. So an engagement is over, another engagement starts, etc. And the other thing I've done, which I think Sandeep, we didn't answer that question, is I have gone and I've collaborated with a few other coaches. So, for example, I've just signed an MOU with another coach come facilitator, and he has a huge, much bigger contact base than I do, in the same niche that I have. And so, he will bring in work, and I will, he will give it to me, and he'll take whatever he has to take, and I'm okay with that. And that's a great way, because I don't even have the mind space or the bandwidth to go and tap into that network of people. So finding like-minded coaches and actually building that collaboration, it's a win-win, because they can't service every client that they know, and we can't service every client that we know, but we can have some cross synergy. So collaboration is definitely important. Being part of coaching consortiums is also very important. So get ourselves on boarded on as many coaching consortiums as possible. Again, you can pick and choose whether you want to actually take up the assignment, but being available and visible is important. And the other thing is, every day you need to do some business development work, is what I would
Thank
say.
you, Bhavani, and once again for your generosity. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Can I please ask for a pause for about a minute, so that because people start leaving, and we would not like to miss on having a group photograph. If all of us can switch on their camera, and
And
Nandini,
can we stop sharing the screen now?
yeah, big smiling faces. Yeah, thank you once again, and we will be very grateful for your time, and also to the audience for staying for so long.
We still have 3 more minutes to go. So if anybody would like to express something by verbally speaking, please speak out. Let's make the most of the 3 minutes more that we have with Bhavani.
Yeah. Can I share some?
President,
Yes, Shalini.
Yeah,
yeah,
hi, good evening, everyone. And so, first of all, thank you so very much for this lovely, lovely session, Bhavani. I think I don't know about others, but it kind of shook me up completely. So, I just got, back to the earlier stages when I started as a coach around 10 years back, into my full-fledged coaching career, and how I was like, I mean, the way I could sense your energy is so enthusiastic and, building everything and all of it. It was so, so good to hear that back. And I actually felt that, over the time in the last 10 years, I mean, I kind of, got a little slow down. And I mean, hardly putting these many efforts in, developing business. And so, okay, people are coming, clients are coming, all right, coaching done. But then using this social media, and especially the AI tools that you talked about, so wonderful. I've not been using that, and I'm sure I'm going to use it. Thank you. That's my takeaway. So,
Thank you, Shalini.
AI tools and social media for sure. Thank you.
Thank you,
And,
Shalini.
Anju, if you can please announce regarding the feedback poll, which has
Yeah, so we
been
have put a
posted.
feedback poll here. I would request everyone to please scan the QR code and give your responses. Please do that before leaving the session.
And maybe
Also do engage with us on LinkedIn when we post the final update. Do engage and share your love and feedback on that as well. That will help us come back to you with more interesting sessions and workshops.
thanks, Anju, for supporting it throughout, and also have been a big support. May we now request the president, Mr. Sanjeev Bhatia, for some closing remarks, and also presenting the appreciation certificate.
Thanks, Bhavani. I think, and thank you, the team behind, like Sandeep, Anju, Dexter, Aniket, Nandini. I think that's a team which really worked behind. Kudos to them. And Anjani, I think you've been very, very practical, very down to earth. Vulnerability was at the best. And believe me, all of us, including me, we are at different stages of the journey. Some of it, we know it. Some of us may be knowing everything what you said, but not doing it. So people are at different stage of journey, but I'm sure all of us who've been attending this session are in the journey. So yes, giving our direction was very important, reminding us where we are, what we aim to do, what the path we have chosen, and where our, I liked it that go full barrel on, do it all, whatever you can do, whether you're solopreneur, partnership, learning from others, taking a ride on others as opinion writer, everything is fine as long as you're honest, you're ethical, you're helping others, you're getting help. There's nothing wrong in that. So thank you very much. It's been a very, very engrossed and involving. I'm very, very thankful to all of you who are attending this session from different parts of the world. Believe me, we all are together. And this community, when comes together, can really create this world a wonderful place to live. Kudos to all of you, the journey which you are in. Let's join hands to make this world a better one. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanjeev.
Thank you, Sanjeev, for all the encouragement and your unconditional support. And we also thank, and this is a small gesture which our president wanted to ensure that you carry it home.
Thank you.
And
It's our honor to present you the certificate. Bhavani, the certificate is virtual here right now. It'll be physically also be delivered to your place. This certificate is not about you. It's just for us so that you remember us.
Thank you so much.
That you did a good job for us. Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
let me make a mention, Bhavani, this is just
Yes.
the beginning. And we may be needing your support regularly in future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I hope everybody took something small away from the session. And yeah, happy to, support, collaborate. You reach out to me if you need anything. If anything sparks something, please reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. You have my details.
Let's give a big hands to Bhavani.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. See you then.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And we can get connected on LinkedIn with Bhavani or with ICF Mumbai chapter. And you can write to us also. If there are any questions, we will ensure that the answers reach you.
Thanks, Sandeep.
Thank you, Dexter, for all the support. Thank you, Nandini, for working behind the scene for so many days, and also Anju for being available to support.
And thank you, Bhavani, for such a fantastic
Yeah.
job. I mean,
And one person who makes all the difference and work almost in the background is our director, marketing and communication, Aniket. He is there to support at any hour. I think I needed to call that out. So thank you, Aniket, once again, if you are there.
Sandeep, this is Francis. Could you give the link again for the CCUs, please?
I
Sorry?
will share it in the chat
The
box.
CCUs. Oh, it's in the chat box. Okay.
I will share it once again.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
So thanks, Amlesh, for staying throughout the session.
Yeah, thank you so much. Amazing session. And Bhavani has been, we were talking about growth mindset and abundance mindset. I think she's growth mindset and abundance mindset personified.
Oh, thank you so much.
Unbelievable, unbelievable.
Thank you.
So thank you, Ambika, for joining.
Yes, I was
Ambika.
gonna call out. So Ambika is my stepdaughter. She's the one who inspired me to become a coach in the first place. So she's on the call as well, and she's a coach too. So you can see surnames are common.
Yeah, I remember having connected to her for some sessions too.
Yeah. So it was her that pulled me into that mysterious coaching workshop in 2013, which changed my trajectory in life entirely. So
you also recorded a video then, no?
I did. I couldn't find it, Sandeep. Today I tried to find it, but yes, I recorded a video of trying to promote my coaching services even then. Yeah, back in 2013. Yes.
It was there in mind 12 years ago, and it is kind of surfaced now. So
I
the
think everything happens.
granularity in terms of, so it was not that gradual. The granularity in terms of the passion was there at the back of your mind.
Of course.
And great to have you with us.
Thank you.
And thank you once again. And we look forward to having you again soon. And I'll discuss with the president in case how would we like to leverage your presence. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.